What's up guys, Chunkology here, and today we're going to talk about the top 8 tips for the perfect Valorant team. Tip number 1 is positioning. Positioning in Valorant is super important. If you and your buddy were watching the A site the entire time on defense, and then on round 7 you decide you wanted to go to a different site, you shouldn't just leave and go somewhere else because your teammates may not notice. You need to call out for somebody to replace you. Like in an instance where I would want to take over B, I would probably ask the B player to go take my spot on A and watch A long for me. Remaining consistent on which site you take doesn't have to mean that you stay at the same site the entire game. If you're having trouble holding B because of a player that peeks you at the window every time, ask a player at C or A to switch you places. Maybe you'll have better luck there and they'll have better luck here. Positioning is also important when it comes to rotation. Let's say you're holding this angle on C long and your friend calls out that there are 3 players on A long making a push. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to fully rotate, but you may want to consider moving to this side of the site to hold the angle so you have a quicker rotation path to A. In this instance, if you're the B player holding this angle on window, you may want to consider going ahead and fully rotating to A and asking one of your 2 C players to cover your position. The same is true on the attacking side. Let's say your team decided to split C and A. You're pushing your way up onto A to try to get a pick, and you hear that your teammate got a kill on C long. That may be the time for you to rotate and provide support for your team to enter the site on C now that it's a little more empty. Tip number 2 is callouts. Callouts are super important to being a great teammate. If you're peeking here and you see 3 players crossing into A lobby, you're going to want to shout that out to your team so they know how to plan. Similarly, if you manage to kill a player and you see them drop the spike, don't forget to call that out so your teammates know to rotate. If you're using external chat software, such as Discord, don't forget to relay this information to the other members of your team. You can do this with the in-game text chat, push-to-talk, or the ping, which we'll go over shortly. You should also learn the map callouts. The official Valorant map callouts can be seen by viewing the map, but you may also want to learn some of the more community-known callouts, such as A Heaven, A Hell, or Under Heaven, and A Short. What's most important is that you keep your callouts quick, precise, and consistent. Tip number 3 is use your ping. By default, ping is bound to the Z key. So if you want to mark a location for one of your teammates, just tap Z while looking at it. This will show up for all of your teammates through walls and on the minimap as well as the full map view. Holding down the ping key will bring up a nice action wheel to let you choose which type of ping you'd like to use. By choosing nothing, you get the default diamond, but if you mouse around, you can pick which of these you'd like to place instead. A common use is the caution ping to signal their enemies at the location.
Careful here.
A really easy way to ping is by using the map view. By default, this can be done by either holding caps lock or hitting M to toggle the map. Then you can just click where you want to make a ping, or click and hold to use the action wheel and pick the type of ping. You may have realized my camera has moved positions. That's because it was going to block the chat in the next segment, and I just decided to leave it there for the rest of the video. Don't forget that you can use your ping to highlight guns and the spike. When you do this, you'll get a message in chat as well as an icon on the map. Tip number 4 is balancing your team's economy. You should be spreading your money around on your Valorant team. You don't want to be the one guy sitting there with $9,000 while the rest of your team are broke. Offer to buy some guns for some of your better players. Spread the money around so everybody plays a little more evenly. If you notice another one of your teammates sitting at max cash, don't be afraid to ask them to buy you a gun. Any money they make over max gets removed back down to 9,000 at the end of the round. Unless you have a really good reason not to, you should try to align your buy and save rounds with your teammates. If the rest of your team are buying SMGs and shotguns, you should consider doing the same. If the rest of your team are buying up rifles, you should also consider doing the same to align your economy. Tip number 5 is coordination. No matter whether you're on attack or defense, you need to coordinate with your team. You don't want people just running around blindly doing whatever they want. If you want to do a C push, you need to coordinate with your team who's going to use which abilities, where they're going to place them, and who's going to go where. You may decide to split your team into 2 or more different groups in order to push different angles at the same time, or you may choose to go as a group. Either way, you need to make sure that your team is coordinated and knows where they should go. You don't ever want one player who doesn't know what's going on and goes to the wrong place at the wrong time, especially if that player happens to be you. Rushing into a site altogether can be a very powerful tactic. You don't even need to be a good player to make use of your abilities and help your team out. Let's say you can put your sage wall down here or your brimstone smoke down here. Even if you die, you've still added a lot of value to your team's push into that site and its ability to hold that site. Don't forget to use the map view and ping in order to plan out where your team should go and what they should do. You may want to tell your brimstone to smoke here or tell a player to rush and flash here. Tip number 6 is to know your strengths and weaknesses. It's important that you play into your strengths. If you know you're really good at rushing, you probably want to pick a duelist and play into that role rather than trying to play the control role and sitting back as a character like Sage. You should consider your team's composition when selecting an agent. If you already have lots of duelists, you may not want to pick Reyna, but if you already have lots of control players, you may be free to do so to help round your team out. You should consider which of your players is going to take the spike and plant it. You don't want to let a random player grab it and run off to a different site and die alone so that you'll have to go pick it up. Make sure you give it to a player who can get it into the site and get it down quickly. The player that takes the spike doesn't always have to be the same. Sometimes you'll want a different agent to take it to a different site, or you'll want someone different whenever you're playing a different strategy. Tip number 7 is communication during critical moments. When your teammate's trying to clutch in a tense situation such as being last alive and trying to take back the bomb site, sometimes the best thing you can do is just shut up. Your callouts can sometimes make things worse. If you're going to give any callouts to your teammate in a tense situation, make sure it's things that they probably wouldn't have noticed themselves, such as somebody at the very edge of their screen or something on the edge of the radar. And make sure your callouts are quick and precise. You don't want to clutter up communications and throw them off. Constructive criticism can be great, but make sure you wait until after the tense moments are over and know that your teammate that you're giving criticism to is okay with it. Tip number 8 is to have fun. Remember, Valorant's just a game. You want to be having fun with your friends. Mistakes happen, misplays happen, people make bad shots. The best thing you can do is just to move on and get over with it. Unless you're practicing for a professional team, you shouldn't get upset about stuff like that. Besides, getting upset or disappointed is only going to make you play worse. Just shrug it off and keep playing and having fun with your friends. If you found some tips in this video that helped you improve your gameplay, please leave a thumbs up. If you have a tip I didn't cover, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you like this kind of video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button. If you want to watch me live, I stream Valorant as well as other games on my Twitch channel. Link in the description below. Give me a follow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.